Okay, everybody, I hope you had a good first week. This is the second week. We're on Chapter 3, and Chapter 3 is age level characteristics. And I'd just like to go over some of my lecture notes. The study of human development provides us with knowledge of how children and adolescents mature and learn within their family, community, and their school environments. Educational psychology focuses on description and explanation of developmental processes that make it possible for children to become um, intellectually and socially competent adults. Psychologists and educators are presently studying the idea that biology, as well as environmental influences, cognitive, personal, social, and emotional development, all involve predictable patterns of behavior. The perceptions and thoughts that young children have about the world are often quite different when compared to adolescents and adults. That is, that children think about more and social issues in unique ways. Children need to acquire cognitive, moral, and social skills in order to interact effectively with their parents, their teachers, and their peers. Human development encompasses all of the above skills and reflects the child's intellect adaptation to the environment. Today, the cognitive, moral, and social and emotional development of children takes place in a rapidly changing society. A child must develop positive conceptions of self within the family as well as in school in order to cope with the changes and to become competent and socially responsible in the adult world. Um, Revolving and Confidence Crisis, the author discusses how confidence is shaken among children in their tween years and how to build their self-esteem. So this week we're talking about the age level characteristics, and age level characteristics is broken down to different categories, and those categories are children in preschool and kindergarten, and children in primary grades, second, children in elementary grades, the third, and then youth in middle school, fourth, youth in high school, fifth, and those are our categories. Um, we also are going to be going over the physical characteristics of these students in these age groups. Um, Children are extremely active and they need frequent rest periods. Their muscles are more developed than those that control fingers and hands. And we're also going to look at hand and eye coordination while it's developing with children, and gender differences that might not emerge until like maybe kindergarten. And next, um, social characteristics of children in preschool and kindergarten. Friendships typically form and dissolve quickly. They may be longer lasting based upon their interest in their um, shared empathy. Play activities contribute to social, emotional, cognitive development and should be encouraged. Children show preferences for gender, of play peers, or they or for pair versus group play, and then the awareness of gender roles and gender typing is evident. All right. Next, emotional characteristics of children in preschool and kindergarten. Children tend to express their emotions freely and openly, with anger bursts being frequent. You can see jealousy among classmates is fairly common, and they tend to have much affection for their teacher and actively seek approval from their teacher. Okay, so we've gone over this slide. Next, cognitive characteristics of children in preschool and kindergarten. Children begin to develop a theory of mind. They become quite skillful with language. Many children overestimate competence of their particular task, and competence is encouraged by interaction, interests, opportunities, and signs of affection, all which are characteristics of authoritative parenting style. Now, if we want to take a look at parenting styles, there is the authoritative and the authoritarian. The authoritative establishes limits and explains reasons for restrictions, encouraging warm and affectionate. Those are the characteristics. For the authoritarian, make demands and wield power, failure to take into account a child's view, and lack of warmth. There's also two other parenting styles. Those are permissive and rejecting, neglecting. So for permissive, disorganized and inconsistent, they allow children to make their own decisions, and they make free demands on their children. For rejecting, neglecting, they make no demands, do not respond to emotional needs of children. So now we can look at the physical characteristics of children in primary grades from 1 to 3. Children are extremely active, and they need breaks like recess, rest time, which enhance cognitive functioning. And children need rest. They become fatigued easily, and their large muscle control is still superior to fine coordination. Other characteristics include children may have difficulty focusing on small print or objects, and children tend to be extreme in their physical activities, and bone growth is still not complete. To go on with characteristics of children in primary grades, children become somewhat more selective in their choice of friends and are likely to have more permanent best friends. Children like organized games but may become overly concerned with the rules, and quarrels are quite frequent. Continuation of characteristics of children in primary grades. Children are sensitive to criticism and ridicule and may have difficulty adjusting to failure. Most children are eager to please the teacher, and children of this age are becoming sensitive to the feelings of others. Children understand they are different in ways, and they know things, and that some ways are better than others. Children begin to understand that learning and recall are caused by cognitive processes they can control. And finally, for the characteristics of children in primary grades, children of this age do not learn as efficiently as older children. Talking aloud to oneself, what we call private speech, reaches a peak between the ages of 6 and 7. So now we move on to physical characteristics of children in elementary grades. Boys and girls become leaner and stronger. Obesity can become a problem for some children in this age group. Gender differences in motor skill performances are apparent. This is a period of relative calm and predictability in physical development. The peer group becomes powerful and begins to replace adults as a major source of behavior standards. Children become more selective and gender-based. Organized play continues to contribute to social, emotional, and cognitive development. Children develop a more global, integrated, and complex self-image that is composed of a self-description, self-esteem, and self-concept. Disrupted family relationships, social rejection, and school failure may lead to delinquent behavior. Children think logically, although such thinking is constrained and inconsistent. On simple memory tasks, children this age can perform as well as adolescents or adults. With more complex memory tasks, the performance of children this age is limited. Physical growth tends to be both rapid and uneven, producing early maturing and late maturing patterns of development. Pubertal development is evident in practically all girls and in many boys. Concern and curiosity about sex are almost universal. And on this graphic organizer, we can see the impact of early and late maturation on boys. You can see the late and early maturing, the characteristics of adolescents, and the characteristics of adults. And this slide is the maturing for girls, early and late. Again, you can see the characteristics of adolescents and the characteristics of adults. Now we move on to the social characteristics of adolescents in middle school. The development and interpersonal reasoning leads to greater understanding of the feelings of others. The desire to conform reaches a peak at this age. Stages of interpersonal reasoning. Stage 0, egocentric level. Stage 1 is the social informational role taking. Stage 2 is the self-reflective role taking. Stage 3 is the multiple role taking. And stage 4 is the social and conventional system taking. To take a look at the emotional characteristics of adolescents in middle school, they view adolescence as a period of storm and stress. Nevertheless, some students experience anxiety, low self-esteem, and depression. Students are often self-conscious and self-centered as a result of the continued influence of egocentric thought. School programs can help students develop more mature social and emotional skills. Middle school students need a classroom environment that is open, supportive, and intellectually stimulating. Self-efficacy becomes an important influence on intellectual and social behavior. And those are characteristics of middle school. So we'll move on to our characteristics for students in high school.